Yo, peeps, what up? It's Mr. Cool Beans. Listen, before we deep dive into today's episode, I want to take a moment to give a huge shout out to our global listeners, okay? We've been checking the latest metrics, and to be honest, it's quite amazing to see how the Chronic Brew community is growing in so many different corners of the world. So, to begin, I want to give a massive shout out to the listeners in the United States, okay? It's our biggest audience this month. Shout out to you guys. Then we have a big shout out to Canada, Hong Kong, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Chile, Germany, Spain, the Philippines, the UAE, Colombia, France, India, Nicaragua, the Syrian Arab Republic, Turkey, Vietnam, and even all the way down to South Africa. You know, whether you're tuning in for the first time or you've been with us since episode 1, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being part of the brew. All right?
I didn't have the strength that I have now. That's when you really need people.
People who could understand.
It really did make a difference.
So finding that community, finding that tribe.
Or are in that realm of chronic illness and stuff.
I barely go through it because I'd be so focused.
Never thought in a million years that would have to happen to me.
So all those emotions are valid. Yeah. Every last one of them.
I was at a low point.
Just kind of removing the stigma.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Chronic Brew. Welcome back to the Chronic Brew, peeps. Grab your mug, get comfortable, and let's go ahead and settle in for this one. Today I'm sitting down with someone who truly understands what it means to rebuild a life when the original blueprint gets tossed out the window. Tamie Gangloff is my guest today, and she is a therapist, an author, and a speaker. But more than that, though, she is someone who has lived the chapters she now helps others write. She has navigated the high-pressure world of being a competitive athlete, the heavy reality of chronic illness, the grit needed to recover from an eating disorder, and mental health challenges. She brings this incredible double vision to the table today. The expertise of a pro and the hard-earned wisdom of someone who has been in the trenches. Tamie, thanks for pulling up a chair with us today. I've been looking forward to this brew for such a long time. I'm glad that you're here with us today.
Me too. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here today with you. I'm excited.
I actually brought something that has a little bit of spice for you. And it's a quick little icebreaker to help us warm up the pot, if you will. You're going to tell us what's in your mug today or what's in your cup today. And more importantly, what's the story behind the cup you chose or have? You know, is it a sentimental favorite?
This is just in a Starbucks cup. The reason I started drinking these is I was grabbing coffee with my friend Laura, who's another therapist, years ago, and she ordered a dirty chai and it just sounded cool. I was like, what is that? And I've been addicted since, but it brings me back to that memory of her. This other mug, this is water with my electrolytes as part of my journey.
Yeah.
Live a great story. My friend Mindy, who is another scoliosis warrior, went with me on my 50th birthday girls trip cruise last December, 2 Decembers ago, and she got me this great big flag that said live a great story. So we took pictures all over this trip with live a great story. So I put it on my mug to remind me of that time.
Wow. I love that. You know, it's funny how even a simple mug can hold so much history. Your journey has some pretty massive chapters, and I want to explore that for a little bit.
Yeah.
So you started out as a competitive athlete where your body was basically a high performance machine, right? Looking back, do you feel like you were at one with your body then, or was it more like a tool that you were pushing to the limit?
I think I definitely pushed my body to its limits. I think within reason. Sometimes I pushed it too far, not knowing that I wasn't supposed to do that necessarily.
Yeah.
You know, I, in hindsight, looking back, had I known what I know about my body now, I probably wouldn't have done some of those things. I don't have any regrets necessarily, but I definitely pushed myself, but I pushed myself because it felt good, in my body. So yeah, I did feel like I was at one with my body. And then also the other piece was the community that I was a part of. I was one with my body in a lot of ways, in the training and taking care of myself through it. And then also being really grounded. There was something about, especially when I started doing obstacle course races, about like climbing and crawling and getting muddy and dirty that just felt like good and grounding. So that felt good to be in my body, even if I didn't feel 100%. I've never been without pain entirely, but that felt good to be in my body during those times.
Yeah. You know, most of us in the chronic illness world, we have that before and after moment, right? When did things start to shift for you, and how hard was it to let go of that athlete identity when your body started to change the rules a little bit?
So, it's changed the rules over time, right? So I've experienced that grief, and then I found a new sport. I'm in a season where I keep saying retired athlete, but I can't really do a whole lot of movement. I'm relearning my body. I guess 2 Decembers ago, around that same time when I went on that girls' cruise, my spine doctor finally said, "You're not going to run again." Not that I can't, but I shouldn't. And my body just wasn't recovering from injuries. And so it was kind of like the last thing that I had almost. Like I used to do triathlon. I can't swim because my neck won't do the thing. And
Yeah.
riding the bike since my spine was fused. And so it was like the last thing that I had. It wasn't competitive. I wasn't super fast, but I just enjoyed being out there doing it. And so that one hit hard. And some of my friends are like being super positive. I was like, I just need like some time to be mad and be sad about this, because it's like, okay. And I still go out to do some 5Ks and I'll walk them, and that's fine. And that's still fun. But it's just a different way to say, I finally realized I'm an athlete, but I don't have a sport. I still have that desire to find movement that feels good to my body, but I'm not involved in any sport anymore. And so that was a really tough realization. It was hard to take in.
I find the parallel in which you describe being an athlete. I can say I wasn't the best phenomenal teacher of all time. While I did get some pretty nice compliments, right? I wasn't that teacher of the year status. But then when you found out that this thing that you had a good niche for, when that was taken away from you, what was those first moments like to just realize you had to completely let go of something that you started building a knack for?
Okay, now, Cool Beans, you're going to make me cry.
It's okay. I'm here for it.
Mr. Cool Beans, sorry. It was really sad. Like it was really sad to lose. I felt like I was losing a part of myself. I had the fear of losing the community. I'm still friends with some of those people, but that experience is not going to be there anymore. I'm not going to show up on race day ready to, um, go out there and run, right? It's just something that I'm not going to have anymore. And so it was really sad. I didn't actually want to talk to anyone for a few days. I just felt like it was a big loss, and almost that sense of identity, right? Like being the teacher, like that's okay. That's not part of who I am anymore. And
Right.
some of my friends were like, yeah, but you can do all these things. I was like, no, I can't, I can't do any of those things anymore. And so it's nice that people remember me as I swam at 10K in the Hudson River in New York. I'm so grateful for all those memories, but also it's like a shift. And so I know that we're supposed to focus on what we can do, but when you're in a body that's changed, right, and can't do what it used to do, it's really hard. And it's also that your identity as a teacher, my identity as somebody who was an athlete. It was really hard to take in and process.
Yeah. It's even more sad sometimes just to embrace the new. But then there's always those little things. That's like that 80s song, there's always something there to remind me. I still have my school jackets, like with the emblems and stuff like that. And I would wear them from time to time. And there are moments where folks would ask me, they're like, "Oh, are you a teacher?" I'm so quick to say, "Yeah," but then I have to remember not anymore. And then it's always those small moments that just bring up that, it's in waves. And I just wanted to hear that from another Spoonie, what
Yeah.
that's like. Yeah. You walk through recovery, recovering from an eating disorder, alcoholism and mental health, all while managing chronic illness. Did those things feel like separate battles, or did they all kind of like melt into one giant storm that you had to navigate through at once?
I think I didn't know it was one giant storm for quite a while. And I was thinking of earlier, these things pop in your head when you're getting ready, right? Like, what if I'm not crazy popped into my head? Because I felt like I was kind of crazy, like, because it's all connected. When I was younger, of course, in retrospect, like I know that my depression and eating disorder, part of it came from the perfect storm of having scoliosis and wearing that back brace. I know that the anxiety after surgery is like it's all connected. And uh, so I understand that now, but I didn't understand that then. And so it seemed like, okay, I have this injury and then this thing happens and then the anxiety comes and then the depression comes, but it's all it's all one, right? It's all one. And so I even had this experience over the weekend where, anyway, we can get into our labs and how doctors miss things.
Oh boy.
And I was anxious about it. And then I started to have a panic attack. So I'm texting my mom that night. She's talking me off the ledge because, the medical makes us anxious, and then the anxiety makes the medical
Absolutely.
worse. And so it's all one big thing. Especially over the last few months, I was assuming that symptoms I was having it must be my anxiety, right? It's so easy to write things off as it's my anxiety, and to learn that, oh, it's not. There actually is a medical reason for what's going on. And that's kind of where I landed this morning with that. So I wanted to say that because I think a lot of people assume that what this symptom is because of my anxiety, or maybe I feel lethargic because I'm depressed. And, we tend to gaslight ourselves sometimes. And I think that's what happens when all of this goes together.
I mean, it's that I hate to use the word perfect storm, but when all these things come together, that's what it really sounds like. If you went
Yeah.
through a perfect storm, and just saying that you went through all of this while also being a trained therapist, was there ever a moment where you thought, I know what the textbook says I should do, but this is way messier than the book promised?
Yeah, the wave is always messier. I think it's hard to sit back and say, hey, when do I need help? I've always been one to go after seeking support whenever I need it. And to, I know what I need to do. I can help other people do it, but we can't be our own therapists, right? We can try, but not be very successful in it. So
Not at all.
also for any therapist that might be listening to this too, some therapists are not comfortable working with other clinicians. I don't know why that is, but I'm on the other side of the couch. I'm just me being my own messy self. I'm not therapist me. That hat is off. And so and the same thing goes for, I just started seeing a dietitian because of my medical. I'm like, I've been telling people to go to dietitians for years because I'm in the eating disorder field. Why am I not seeing one? Because I have this medical stuff. And so I was like, oh, I don't have to figure it out on my own. I can ask somebody to help me with it. And by the way, it's already making such a huge difference. Hey everyone, I'm Tamie Gangloff. I am a chronic illness warrior. I'm also a therapist, author, speaker, retired athlete, and I am an author of Chronic Illness and Eating Disorders, but also really great for anyone with any type of chronic condition. I have a lot of great info on my website, TamieGangloff.com. We're in it together, and I'm so excited to connect with you.
It's so hard to trust a body that feels like it's constantly glitching or letting you down. I think for me, just watching how my body doesn't respond to certain things that it used to because, of course, kidneys, right? And I'm sure you share those same experiences as well. For someone listening who is currently furious with their own body, how do you even begin to start, a truce with your body?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? The first thing is letting go of that anger. And I do try to remind myself now, even my body is doing what our bodies are made to do. I didn't do anything wrong to cause it. And also, it's not my body's fault, right? My body is
Yeah.
reacting the way our bodies are meant to. And the anger that we feel with our bodies, we take that in, right?
Yeah.
And so the anger is going to keep us from healing. One of the things that I have used with other people is that changing the narrative. So instead of saying there's something wrong with my body, it's a relationship that we have, right? You're going to be in relationship with your kidney disease for the rest of your life. And I'm going to be in a relationship with all the other things for the rest of my life. So when I was racing, my race jerseys on the back, the name I chose was not my last name, it was titanium. I have a lot of titanium in my body. So it was kind of like this externalizing the illness part of me. So I'm in a relationship with this part of me called titanium. Internalize it, right? I can have compassion and love and support for you, but it might be hard for me to do it for me. And so then I took it a step further and started asking people, tell me about your relationship with your closest person, right? What is in that relationship? There's trust, there's affirmation, there's support, there's all these positive things. And we can have that relationship with our bodies and our illness also. And we almost have to, right? We have to do that to recover from whatever illness it is or learn how to manage it. And so this season, Rocky was my big, giant black and white tuxedo cat. I lost him a little over a year ago. He got the name because he didn't have claws when I adopted him, and he would box. So I use that word because I have it makes me smile. And then also my body, it's been rocky, right? I have
Yeah.
new diagnoses. I have no idea what's going on. And so instead of saying like, my body's just like, I'm frustrated, like the labs were wrong. And like Rocky is just like doing what he's doing. And I love him. And we're going to do whatever we can to like help him heal. Try and say, instead of I'm mad at my body, like, okay, I'm a little frustrated with Rocky today. He's giving me a hard time, but I still love him anyway. And I'm going to give him what he needs. So
Man.
that's kind of what has worked for me. And some days it doesn't mean I still don't get frustrated, but to be able to say, okay, I'm frustrated and there's still love and compassion and support for
Right.
my body, for that part
Yeah.
of me.
I think I do a good job of masking a lot of the, I don't know what you would call it, the frustrations, the depressions, the all of that stuff. Matter of fact, I'll say this: this podcast is doing a lot more to keep those things at bay. Just because I am connecting and talking to folks, and getting shared experiences that'll help me to be more calm and just settle in the fact that this is a journey, it's a process. I can agree. Like there are times it's rough. The mornings you wake up and your symptoms are just up a flare, and you're frustrated, or the things that you can't do. Right? For me, it might look like being stuck on doctor's appointments all the time. But anywho, I just have to ask: Are you with titanium? Are you also a cyborg? That's what that is. You're a cyborg as well, having titanium in your because I have a
I'm a
fistula, I have a
bionic,
stent.
bionic woman. I'm fused T10S1. You can't see it. There's a scar there. I broke my wrist during a Spartan race. I fell from like way up high, solid ground. So I do have a plate and 10 screws in my wrist. So I have a lot of titanium in my body.
I thought you were fist fighting, Spartan race fist fighting. I don't know. I'm sorry. Um,
Obstacle course races, climbing and swinging on things, which I would love. I've set the intention that I will probably not race again, but I want to at least be able to climb the rope again and swing on rings. There's just something that feels good about that. So even if it's just every once in a while, I'd like to get my hands on one of those things. So hopefully that's going to happen sometime this year.
hopefully, and just wanted to tap into your therapist side a little bit.
Yeah.
I know I'm taking you through a whole bunch of side quests, but let's go into that.
Good.
There are a lot of folks with chronic conditions who don't want to hear the, just look on the bright side, all of that jazz. Do you see a net positive in that, or do you see something a little bit more at danger with that?
I mean, there is danger with that. We need to be in both. Yes. And when I found out I couldn't run anymore, right? I was angry, I was frustrated. So, but we need to give ourselves space to be in that frustration and grief. And we can't stay there long. And I was just at a conference over the weekend about grief and gratitude. And I also add the word grace to that, like giving ourselves grace,
Yeah.
so that we can live in both at the same time. So feel the grief, feel the frustration, and also let's look at the gratitude and all the other pieces of it. Because if we just live in that frustration and grief, it's just going to spiral your depression downward, your anxiety, and then it's going to, trigger everything else. So really having that space to talk about it. You're talking about like kind of the unmasking, and having that safe space to do it, whether it's with your therapist, with your close people in your circle. And then also, gratitude takes us a long way. So even if it's just a simple practice of, okay, today I'm frustrated about these 3 things. Okay, well then what 3 things are you grateful for?
Yeah.
To try to kind of neutralize. We want to stay away from toxic positivity.
Absolutely.
Kind of the buzzword, but I think it's true. Somebody who's super positive over the top, that doesn't work for me either. But let's look at like the little wins, right? Like I had to lay down a lot during the day Saturday, just my body needs that right now. And also I got to do some really cool things because both were true. So we need to have both existing at the same time.
You yourself, you're in the thick of it right now, yet you
Yes.
spend your days helping others through their darkest chapters. The balance. How do you keep your own cup so full so you don't, pour from an empty one?
It changes throughout, it ebbs and flows, right? So in times when I'm able to be more active, which this isn't one of them, it might be spending time out in nature, right? Maybe I'm going for a hike or a walk in the woods. Now it might be just getting on the phone with a friend or decompressing, watching silly TV, or reading, just finding something that
Yeah.
brings me some kind of joy and relaxation. So again, if it's it's when I can be active, I'll do that. But I also, my sister who's a nurse reminded me when I was anxious after surgery, like, have you been coloring lately? I'm like, oh yeah, I can color. So finding something that brings you joy, and also the grace to know, like, maybe this isn't a time where I am spending a ton of time with friends. Maybe I need space because I don't have the spoons to people as much. And so, maybe it's a time where I can step back and just check in with friends. I have a few friends that we just leave each other voice notes all the time, which I kind of love, so that I don't have to be like on all the time, but just having that human connection, we need that.
Absolutely. I got a couple bros that we send reels to each other, and it's all good. It doesn't require a phone call or, big,
Yeah.
long conversations over text. Just sending me something to make me smile. That's thoughtful in and of itself. So, shouts out to all the good friends out there, right? Now, let's go back to your athletic days. A win was probably a trophy or a world record. um, Now that you're living the chronic life, the spoony life, what does a successful day actually look like for you?
That's a great question. I will say this. I think when back in those days was also like knowing that I'm in a body that it's a miracle that it could do the things it was doing. So that was
Mm,
kind of the win also. Like me crossing that finish line was like, wow, I didn't know my body could do this.
right.
Now a win is when both things can exist, right? I can have a hard day and also do something great. Like we hosted this big dinner and it was a lot of fun. Some days a win is washing my hair. I'll have you know, I washed my hair this morning just for
Phenomenal.
you. But when you like are in it, that's exhausting. It's
Mm,
exhausting.
yeah.
So like I went to the doctor, I went to the grocery store, I got coffee and washed my hair. That's a win for the day. If I do nothing else productive after you and I finish talking, that's a win. Right?
It's
So it's
good.
looking at each day and seeing what can my win be for today, because every day is going to look different, and I spent a lot of spoons over the weekend, and so I got home Saturday and I was like, I have negative 100 spoons right
Oh
now.
my god.
Right. And
Should be
so
hibernating.
yeah, I mean, I hibernated Sunday. I just said I slept really late. So I think that's what a win means now. And also looking at, I'm incorporating what am I doing today to get better. It reminds me of like early sobriety, almost like whatever I did yesterday to stay sober, I need to do today. So I've
Mm,
been meditating. I've switched up like my hydration and all the things. Like those things are wins also. If I'm doing the things that are going to help my body feel better, right? I don't expect to be fixed or like better, because that may not happen, but to be able to continue to take care of myself. So wins are different every day. I think what's hard with that for us is the unpredictability. Like I would love to say like, I'm going to feel amazing in a couple weeks or in a couple months. And my body just doesn't work that way. So just to really be able to stay in today, which is really hard to do. Some
yeah.
days I can do it, some days I can't, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to take you through another side quest. I know earlier I mentioned the bouts with, alcoholism, right? Now, to me, honestly, I've seen your reels, I've seen your stuff, super, super victorious in a lot of areas. How has your battle or fight with that been victorious or even triumphant, even to managing your day to day and making sure that you're the best person that you can be on a regular?
That's a great question. I got sober at 22, and so I've been really blessed to live most of my adult life in sobriety. My alcoholism, I think, was born out of, as you said, earlier, that perfect storm, the perfect storm of, growing up with scoliosis, the back brace, depression, all the things. So it came out of that place. I think living in sobriety has equipped me to manage all the things that I've had to deal with, whether it was medical or just really hard life stuff. And so I think the tricky part is, as somebody is still struggling with alcohol, it might be really hard, or other substances, hard to let it go, because maybe like this is the thing that's helping me get through right now. And it might be hard to see, okay, whatever, Tammy, sure, I'm going to find the silver lining, it might
Yeah.
be hard for somebody to hear to that there can be something else that can help them, and that they don't need a substance that isn't good for them or alcohol. to help them to get through the pain. And then that's what can then lead to greater depression, suicidal thinking. I know for me, in my drinking days, when I was drinking, that's when I had suicidal thinking. That was a really, really dark times for me. And so in chronic illness, chronic pain, we know that depression is often a side effect of it, right? Like you're living in
Right.
that chronic state all the time. And so relying on a substance is really tricky and scary. And so navigating this life is going to be easier, not going to be fixed, but it's going to be easier if we're not using a substance that's not prescribed by your doctor in the right
Yeah.
way. Like even today, I brought my supplements that my dietitian recommended and had my doctor look at them and tell me how to take them.
Right.
Just being really mindful and careful and knowing that you don't have to do something unhealthy in order to take care of yourself.
Yeah. I'm glad you touched on that conversation about, the S word, as they would say, right? I don't know why that's so taboo. And maybe it's a shame factor. A lot of the MTV chronic illness, right? Like, this is me in my best life with chronic illness. All of that. I mean, that's great. It brings hope. But then what about those moments where it's real? And this is where I wanted to tap in to your therapist hat. We know that the grief is something that'll probably stick with us just as much as our diagnosis. There's no cure for it because the human experience is built on waves of emotion. For someone who is dealing with just the realities of what they can't do anymore and how all these things kind of come to a culminating halt currently in their life right now, what's something that you can share with them to help them always have something to look forward to?
I'd say first and foremost, that person might say right now, I can't even see that there is something to look forward to. By the way, thank you for sharing that you called the hotline. I think people forget that that's a resource that's there for them. So thank you
Oh,
for
yeah.
sharing that.
September 8th, 2025. Yep. It's documented.
Um, and that's something that's there, right? And hopefully other people will continue to use that resource when they need it. And so I think in the moment, it's really hard to comprehend that there is a time or a moment where I'm going to feel okay because you're so in the grief. One answer I have used, and this doesn't work for everyone, is that, tapping into your people. And so I was covering a group in DC a few months ago, and somebody said, well, I don't have any people right now. It's like, you're right. You might not have any of those people right now. And that's where those resources, the external resources, right? And whether it's a hotline or it's a support group, there are support groups for everything. If somebody wants resources for support groups, please let me know. You can practice getting that support without kind of that risky, scary, like, I don't want to ask my family. I don't want to ask any friends.
Yeah.
Or maybe I've isolated myself so much that I don't really have any of those people in my life. So how do I create that? And we create that by taking one little step, whether it's maybe you're logging into, if you're struggling with substance, maybe you're logging into a virtual 12-step meeting and you're not saying a word, but you're just listening. Or you're just showing up to a group and you're just listening. And then you might be brave enough to raise your hand. So just putting yourself in circles where you're not necessarily believing it yet, but you're hearing it. Kind of like when we listen to affirmations, right? You're like, I don't know, that doesn't work for me, but like, keep listening to it because it will work. So just starting with a baby step of putting yourself in spaces where there is support that you can kind of start to feel. And then maybe you can reach out to a hotline if you need to, but then you maybe will reach out to a friend or a family member, and knowing that even though you don't see that there is the light, I have hope for you, right? I always say that, like, you might not feel hope, you might not see a future in the body that you're now in, but other people have hope for you, and that's what we need to rely on. Because in the moments you don't have hope, we have hope for you.
Powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, thank you. Now let's take off the therapist hat, right? Let's become the patient now.
Okay.
We love to talk about how, there are so many gaps in the medical system when it comes to patient care. I know we could do a whole different episode.
Oh my God, yes.
If you could sit down with a group of doctors or even fitness gurus and give them the unfiltered truth about what it's actually like to navigate in recovery from chronic pain, what's the one thing you would scream from the rooftops at them? Like, what would that be?
Oh God.
Take your time.
I mean, I think some of the most important things are like, and again, I'm thinking of my doctor's appointment this morning, and I handed her the resource that I just created. It's one of the free resources on my website. Like, these are the questions that, that when we come in to see you, we're scared, we're anxious, we're tired of feeling as bad as we've been feeling. I know that medical professionals, whether it's your doctor or your physical therapist, like, your time is limited. Sure, I get that. And I might be one of many patients that you're seeing today, but like, you are my lifeline today. Like, when I see my primary care doctor, I had PT yesterday, like, you're my lifeline and my hope that I'm going to feel somewhat better. And so you're focused on me for the time that you're with me. And I was like, I'm not going to leave until I have all of my questions answered. And really just to take that space and also trust that this patient in front of you is the expert on their body, right? Like, if you're not ready for a long-term relationship, we're not dating anymore, right? Like, we're not getting married. This relationship is over. So I think for those people that are the helpers in our lives to be able to take a moment, I had asked my spine doctor, and a recommendation he gave for me. And I was like, I was not having it. I didn't agree with it. I knew it wasn't right for me. And I was like, what would you say to your wife or your daughter? Would you give them the same recommendation? He paused and he said, yes. And I looked at him and I kind of shook my head. I was like, I don't think so. Like, but just maybe even put yourself in the shoes of this patient. Like, is this what's best for them? Or is this just like what your textbook is saying? Seeing your patient and really taking that time. I will share this with you because what happened was I had a surgery a little over 2 months ago. I had labs pulled a month beforehand that were not great. Guess what? Nobody told me, and I had surgery. And so I've been like struggling to recover and catch up. And then I was like, I would tell someone to see a dietitian because something was off. And so it was one of those moments. So I reached out, and I'm in a field where I know too many people. So it was hard for me to find a dietitian that I didn't know professionally. And the woman I found is on it. And she looked at my labs, and there were these 4 that were really low. And I was like, I had no idea. Just sometimes they also need to take their professional hat off and just sit down and say, like, we're 2 people sitting together having a conversation about how to create a better quality of life for you. Because in chronic illness and chronic pain, we're not going to maybe, quote, be better, but the goal is a better quality of life. How do we get there together?
Yeah, always sitting. It's almost like, instead of like sitting across from me, sit next to me, teach me, show me what I need to do on my own. So that way I can also be an advocate for myself. I can be the extension of the office at home. You know what I mean?
That's right. Sit next to me. I love that.
Yeah, that's good.
Hi, everybody. This is Little Miss Undiagnosed, and you're listening to the Chronic Brew podcast.
All right, Tamie, listen, we're about to wrap up our mugs with the espresso shot. You love coffee. I'm glad that you're on board with it. Gang, right?
I'm ready.
So with the espresso shot, these are 5 rapid fire questions, gut reactions only, okay? We're looking for the fun truth here. No therapist approved answers allowed. Now, you got that?
Got it. You got it. Therapist.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. What is the one song that comes on the radio that you would never admit to loving, but you definitely know all the lyrics to?
One song. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. The first thing that pops into mind is anything Duran Duran popped into my head.
Okay, 80s, love it. If you could spend one Saturday morning living in any cartoon world, which one are you jumping into?
Ooh, the Jetsons.
The Jets, our timelines have kind of expired.
Yeah. A lot of people won't know what the Jetsons are, or that my cat is named Linda Carter.
What's a food combination you absolutely love that most people would think is a crime against nature?
Oh my gosh. Lately, for some reason, I've been dipping my grilled cheese in ranch dressing. I don't know why. I made my grilled cheese with avocado and ranch the other day. It's my new favorite thing. I'm not sure why. But
That's not bad. That actually sounds pretty... grilled cheese with ranch? Next question. What is a totally useless hidden talent that you have that you will never make it on your professional resume?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Do I have any hidden talents? Hidden talents? I mean, I could swim. I can swim for miles and miles and miles.
That's not useless.
I guess that's not useless. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I have any hidden talents.
All right.
What's your hidden talent? And I'll think of mine.
A hidden spotlight. Hidden talent that I have. I can, oh gosh, I have many. I'm thinking of a good, okay, we'll come back to that one. How about we come back to that one? All right. What is one childish thing you still do or you don't refuse to let go or grow out of?
I think that I'm going to go back to, although I wouldn't say it's childish, but like the coloring and just being silly and goofy. I think that's part of what I loved about the obstacle course races is like you're just like playing like a little kid. Like you just want to get outside and play, like playing in the dirt. That.
But this hidden talent stuff, I'm still like chewing on this. Like, oh gosh, okay. Well, how about I can crack the bone in my big toe because of an injury that I sustained in football practice in high school. So now it just never goes away. That's the best that I got.
So one of my diagnoses is Ehlers-Danlos. So any of the people out there that have it, and so I'm hypermobile, and so even in the wrist that has hardware in it, I can still do that. Most people can't do that, but I can do weird like movements with my hands and things. And I really have crazy long arms you can't see. So when there's a selfie to be taken, I'm the one that takes it because I have really long arms. Yes.
Selfie designate.
Yeah.
All right. We've had our shots and now we're all caffeinated. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath and we're going to just bring it all home. Right.
All right. Ready.
So for the final sip, for the person listening who feels like their life is totally off script and they're just surrounded by wreckage of their old life, what's the one thing you want them to know before we finish our coffee for today?
One thing I want them to know is that, they have no idea what's around the corner for them. One quote that I heard from another podcast a couple of years ago is that things happen for us, not to us. It made me mad when I first heard that. I was like, but really, things did happen to me. And I think when we can shift it and say like things happen for us, not to us, like if you hadn't gone through what you went through, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. If I hadn't gone through what I went through, I wouldn't have written this book or like been doing these talks and hopefully helping a lot of people. And so not that everyone's purpose has to be, I go through this thing and now I'm doing a podcast or writing a book, but, post-traumatic growth or if you're an athlete, right, like post-injury sports-related growth. So there's this resilience that you don't have to bounce back to the person you were before because that person isn't there anymore, but there's this newer version of yourself that you're creating. And the exciting thing is you have no idea what that's going to look like. And it's probably going to be better than you could have ever imagined. You just can't imagine it right now. So there's going to be this growth that comes through every hard time, whether it's a setback or a new diagnosis, there is a new growth that's going to come from it. And that's where the resilience comes in.
Wow. Things happen for us, not to us. I can just hear the steam coming out of a lot of people's ears with reason, but then when you really break it down, though, just imagine if a lot of the things that happen to us never happened. Had this not happened to me, I would have still been in the classroom, probably telling kids to sit down, stop eating boogers and stuff like that. I mean, fourth graders, okay? Things happening for us, not to us, it has purpose behind it. It makes the chronic illness become purposeful, in which we create, like, we weaponize it for good. We don't let it defeat us. I'm putting that one in my pocket. That was super good. Thank you for sharing that.
No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we can stay in it and then, stay in that kind of the dark thought process about it. And we would say like bringing the dark into the light, right? That's where that purpose comes from. And I get it. The first time I heard it, I'm like, and sometimes I still get mad. I'm like, why do I have to go through all this stuff? Like, and there is like, you can find purpose and meaning in all of it. And that's the hope. And if you can't do that, then we can help you do that, right? You don't have to do that alone. We can't do that alone, right? We're not meant to do this journey alone. That's why we're talking today.
Tamie, not going to lie to you, that is the perfect truth to leave us with today. Thank you so much for being with us, for sharing both the clinical and the very human side of your journey today.
Thank you.
Look, man, I know our listeners are going to, want to stay in your circle. I know they're going to want to find you after this conversation. Where is the best place for them to find your books, follow your work, or just keep up with your story?
Yes, thank you. Social media, obviously, I have my Instagram for the older people like myself. We also use Facebook, but it's just, right, It's just author Tamie Gangloff, but my website is the easiest place to find me. It's just my name, TamieGangloff.com. And I have some resources. I have a free resource. I handed my doctor a copy of it today, like a medical planning worksheet, because to help you do that. So that's a free resource. I have another resource about what we talked about earlier, the naming your illness and changing that narrative. There's a small fee, but if you check out with Cool Beans in their discount code, it's 25% off. So it's just inexpensive, but it's a 7-page kind of like mini ebook that a lot of people have found useful. So that's on there as well. And if you're interested in the book, that information is there too. So, and I'd love to hear from you. So you can reach out always. I love having these conversations. So if anyone wants to connect, they can always reach out to me through there as well.
Wow, this is the first time somebody created a checkout code with my name on it.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Cool
pretty
Beans.
dope. I feel special. I feel esteemed a little bit.
You are special. And I made it so it doesn't expire. So if somebody listens to this, a year from now or whatever, and they want to grab it, that will always be there for any resource that I put on my website. So,
all right, peeps, you heard that? Make sure you check out what Cool Beans on our site, and make sure you check out those links in our show notes so you can keep up the conversation with Tamie. And also, forever, to the listeners, thanks for pulling up a chair and sharing this brew with us today. Remember, guys, whether your day today is feeling a little bit sweet or bitter, you aren't drinking from the cup alone, okay? We're all in this together. We're a community. We're a Spoonie community. Or whether you have a diagnosis or not, just know we're humans and we get each other, right? I'm Mr. Cool Beans. Catch you on the next time on the Chronic Brew. Keep taking it one sip at a time. Peace and take care.